Hi, this is Pat Johnson, your sociology instructor. In this mini lecture, we're going to look at factors that are correlated to a greater likelihood of divorce. First factor that our author mentions where there is a strong relationship between a factor and the likelihood of getting divorced is if your parents were divorced. Now, this is most likely because we have seen this happen in our own families and we see it as an option in our own marriages. Another factor that many of my students just don't want to believe exists is that premarital cohabitation. In other words, living together and engaging in sexual intercourse prior to marriage is a correlate, is positively correlated with a greater chance of divorce. Those people who wait to live together and wait to engage in sexual intercourse until after marriage are less likely to get divorced. Interestingly enough, this correlation probably has to do with the value system. Those people who don't cohabitate, who do not engage in sexual intercourse prior to marriage, usually have stronger religious values than those people who cohabitate before marriage. And we do know that those with strong religious values are more likely to see marriage as something permanent and divorce as not an option. So cohabitating prior to marriage is correlated to getting divorced. Those people who have children prior to marrying are more likely to get divorced. This is just another one of those factors that is strongly correlated with the likelihood of divorce. Those who marry at an early age are more likely to divorce. So people who are married in their late teens have a slightly greater chance of divorcing than those who marry, let's say, in their late 20s. Those who have a childless marriage are more likely to get divorced. One of the reasons for this factor is that sometimes people stay married because of the children. In other words, they don't want to put their children through a divorce, and those who are childless don't have to worry about that factor. Also, people who are in childless marriages often have both of the spouses working outside the home. They are more independent financially and don't stay together in an unhappy marriage for the reason of financial stability. They're more likely to get divorced when things get really rough. Finally, people who are in a low-income economic status are more likely to divorce. And this may have to do with the greater stress that comes about with being in the low-income bracket. What I want you to remember is something earlier in our semester. If you're getting a little maybe depressed because you find that you fit into some of those characteristics. Maybe you did marry young, maybe you did cohabitate prior to marriage, maybe your parents are divorced. Remember our main rule about correlation. Correlation does not mean causation. Just because two factors are correlated with each other doesn't mean that one causes the other. Marriage takes a lot of hard work. It takes sticking with it and a lot of understanding and choosing the right person in who to marry. So don't think that just because some of those factors are in your life that you're necessarily going to get a divorce from your spouse.